Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, everyone. Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. You know what time it is. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam, Ronis with you for the next couple of hours, breaking down, again, everything that we saw in Week 11. And it is time to look ahead to Week 12. Waiver wire names to know. We've got the utilization report from Dwain McFarland and him coming on here in a little bit. A stacked show. I don't know, Adam. Should we? I think you should sit this first segment out. Just because just like CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, it's a coach's decision. What are we doing? What does that do? Adam, how you doing? How's it going?
Yeah, doing well. Obviously, it did a lot especially for George Pickens because it fired him up. He came out and he balled out afterwards. So for CeeDee Lamb, I don't know, might have been a distraction why he didn't catch that last pass. I could have used those extra points. I mean, I got all the W's, but again, I play in a lot of leagues where total points matter. So could have used that touchdown and for Dak Prescott as well. But it was a good game overall for all the fantasy players, mostly, but the two key Cowboys. Yeah, seeing that first drive, I was like, what is going on here?
I said, where are the guys that I need to score fantasy points today? They said coach's decision.
So I guess it was a late night in Vegas for those guys, maybe. I don't know.
That's what it was?
I don't know. They didn't specify, right? I mean, I didn't watch all the post-game stuff, but from what I saw, they did not reveal a reason for what it was.
I think it's so weird to me doing that. But like you said, they got stuff done. So we were fine fantasy.
At least it wasn't a full quarter like Jordan Addison.
Oh, stop. That's true. Wow, was that a full quarter that they sat him?
If I remember correctly, wasn't it a full quarter?
I believe you.
Yeah, I think it was.
Remember that far back? I mean, that's nuts. You said it though. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys went in there. They beat up on the Raiders 33-16 on the road. So that was nice to see. George Pickens, a career night, like you said. And CeeDee Lamb still got you fantasy points. But man, when you're looking at Dak Prescott, passed for 268 yards, 4 touchdowns. And this was a win the team obviously wanted in light of everything going on over there. And Prescott, I think I've got him in a couple leagues actually. So I was facing him in a guillotine league. And I was very close to the chop list. He could not score any more touchdowns, and I actually got away by like 5 points, I think. So I was happy with it, but it was phenomenal. Like you said, George Pickens, great night. CeeDee Lamb, great night as well, but 9 catches, 144 yards, 1 touchdown. CeeDee Lamb had 5 for 66 and a touchdown as well. Big numbers. Javonte Williams provided them with the balance that we always see. They're rushing for 93 yards, 22 carries. So overall, just a great day for that team and our fantasy teams. What we love to see.
Yeah, and I hope the books keep disrespecting Pickens and giving me that number in the high 50s, low 60s. 64.5. I gave it out on Friday. Yeah,
I mean, keep doing that.
Well, now they probably won't. It was a national game. I'm sure everyone is looking at it, talking about Pickens, where, again, he's had a great year. I thought he was so undervalued in drafts, and he's paying off big dividends. I mean, his numbers are kind of close to CeeDee Lamb. I know CeeDee Lamb missed time, but when you look at the games that they've played together, it's a lot closer than people think. CeeDee has not had a 100-yard game in the last 3. He's still been good.
Yeah.
It's just Pickens is closer to him than the numbers that they give out. Pickens is just having a great year, at least 9 targets in 3 straight games, up to 7 touchdowns on the season. He's at 908 receiving yards.
Man. He's having a great season. And it's one of those things where we talked about it maybe a month ago or so, but you have to look, they have to franchise tag him, right? There's only one way that this can go. You can't look at what George Pickens has been doing for your team and say, you know what, we're good. Like letting him walk would be surprising to me. But again, you still have CeeDee Lamb, so that's the other part of it. I'll have to look. I don't know what the franchise tag costs this year, but I know it's a lot.
Yeah, you see how difficult it is to pay 2 wide receivers big time money when you look at the rest of the roster with Cincinnati with paying Higgins and Lamb. So, and you're paying Dak, and so that's the issue. I mean, of course. I mean, I think everyone would want him back. There's no question about that.
$29 million for the franchise tag is what it's projected. We don't know yet, but that's what the projection is for 2026.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, apparently Jerry Jones on radio said they didn't start because of an in-house issue. It had to do with a late problem, I guess, to a meeting.
So maybe you were right. Late night? Late to a meeting? Can we
I
just
don't
show
know.
up we show up on time?
Hanging out with Keon Coleman.
Stop.
What do you mean stop?
Maybe they're listening. I'm telling you, they're listening to us on Fridays. They're like, oh,
We
we
talking
can just
about
pack up.
practice.
We can just pack up. We're fine to go. Please stop being late to meetings.
You're a bad influence. I mean,
it doesn't feel like that's a really difficult ask. I'm not gonna lie.
I know.
We show up on time. You know,
Can't
3
do
minutes
it.
before the show starts.
I'm here. Don't even try that. I am here.
No, you're here. You just, you give all the producers heart attacks, everything.
What do you want me to
else.
show up at 9 a.m. tomorrow for? What? No one's going to be there.
10. I show up 10 minutes before.
Okay, great.
Sure everything. You're like, I'm not doing that. There's no chance. Other side of this game, not a great day for the Raiders. I know we usually say that, but this one really came true. And here's the one thing I couldn't have happen, Adam. I could not have Trey Tucker score a touchdown. What happens? Trey Tucker scores a touchdown. If anyone started him, I'm happy for you. But I lost my actual matchup by 1 point. Because I had Dak Prescott in there. It was really annoying. Anyway, one of the more interesting things that when I saw that when we were watching this, Ashton Genty, I don't know what the plan is here for Ashton Genty, but not getting him involved as much as you would think he is. That's my one takeaway. I mean, Geno didn't look great in this one. Trey Tucker scored a touchdown, so you got fantasy points there. But overall, just a lackluster day for the Raiders.
Yeah, I don't know what the plan was with Genty because they came out and they just passed the ball. It was pass, pass, pass. They didn't even try. I know some people are going to say, well, look at the score. They had to abandon the run. When this game was close early, first quarter, early second quarter, they didn't even attempt to run with Genty. Nope. The fact that he had 6 carries for 7 yards is insane. He did catch 6 passes for just 27 yards, and the offensive line isn't good, but they didn't even try to run early in this game. It was just perplexing as to what their game plan was. I mean, you really want to drop Geno Smith back to pass all those times and abandon Genty, and that's what they did early on. Probably wouldn't have made a difference anyway, but it just, I don't understand what they were doing. You invest this early pick. Yeah, you invest this early pick and you don't even use them.
I mean, and listen, Geno Smith sometimes can make magic. We haven't seen it for a while, but I mean, for him to just throw the ball 28 times behind an offensive line that's been struggling as much as they have, to give him time that he obviously needs to complete those, I was confused by it. So I don't know. I know that Ashton Genty, I mean, where's he at in PPR? Just like total, not total fantasy points, because that always paints a different picture, but where's he at in the fantasy point department?
Yeah,
I don't have much of him.
I don't have him in redraft. I have him in best ball. So yeah, I agree.
He's got to be out. Well,
he is 17th in points per game in PPR. So he was going, I would say most leagues late first round, early second round, probably first round in most leagues. And yeah, clearly you're not happy. There's no way you can be happy just because there's been too many low floor games. He has 4 games now under double digits in PPR. I mean, that is awful. That just crushes your week. Like a week like this. And we just haven't seen the high ceiling games either. We've really seen one. So he has 1 game over 20 PPR points.
Yeah, that was Chicago week 4.
Yeah, it's been disappointing.
It hasn't been good. It hasn't been good. And like I said, I wanted to check and see where he was because for a lot of my drafts, once we got towards the end, he was going kind of in the middle where I wasn't, getting those picks because I was usually at the turn this year. And so, yeah, his lows are really low. Like you said, 7.4, 6.3, 4.4, 9.4, but you're really in the range of 15s. Like you said, you only have 1 game above 20 fantasy points, and games like this against Dallas where you think, okay, well, at least something's going to happen here. And I know that Dallas and their defense has been a little bit revamped. They've looked a little different, but 6 carries for 7 yards. That would just crush me. And Adam, it feels like that's a guy where there's not much you can do about it because you say there's Ashton Genty, who was my first round pick, and unless you really went to the waiver wire and you found someone, and I'm trying to think of someone that you could have found right now, that you say, well, I've got better options. That's what makes it more difficult. You kind of just have to keep riding it. They get Cleveland in week 12, which is not necessarily going to be easy there either.
No, it's not. I mean, we did see Derrick Henry have a solid game against Cleveland. He broke off I think a 59-yard run, his longest run of the season. And, at least that game, they're not going to get blown out because it looks like maybe Shedeur Sanders could start if Dylan Gabriel's not out of the concussion protocol. that total is going to be real low. But yeah, this should be a week at least that they feed him the football, even in a tough matchup. But again, Cleveland the last couple weeks has given up some more yards on the ground. 103 yards for Henry. Breece Hall had 83. Travion Henderson had 75. So yeah, they've allowed the fourth fewest fantasy points to the running back position. But we've seen some production from running backs the last few games, and this has to be a game where Genty gets 20 carries. I'm sorry. I mean, they're going to
It
hear the
has
criticism.
to.
They're going to hear the criticism all week. Why aren't you using this guy? You drafted him early. Then they'll be in a competitive game. So this has to be a week where Genty gets 20 touches.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so, because we can't keep doing the games that we just saw, because those lows are really low for Ashton Genty. So hopefully he can turn it around, because that's something you need for your first round pick going forward. We got a ton of news yesterday once we got off the air. So I do want to hit on one Michael Penix Jr. here to start. So Michael Penix Jr. is expected to miss the rest of the season. That's kind of how we were talking yesterday when we got the news. But it's just, I don't know, Adam, it's just unfortunate to see, because he's been dealing with injuries his whole career, even back throughout college. And so the belief is that Penix has some damage to his ACL. He's going through even more testing, like Adam Schefter reported yesterday, but they said in a statement he's going to be put on IR. Doesn't look like he's going to be back this season. So we are going to have Kirk Cousins the rest of the way. The other part of this, though, is that they're not only going to be without Michael Penix Jr., but Drake London is also week to week with his knee injury. So this is one where they do expect Drake London back this season. Week to week is better than being put on IR, but he is dealing with a PCL issue in his left knee, and he's been banged up this season as well. So you've got two of your biggest pieces for the Atlanta Falcons potentially down. Well, definitely down for Michael Penix this week. Definitely probably down for Drake London this week. We'll see where he's at going into week 13, but just a big blow. And I think we talked about this yesterday, but when you have Kirk Cousins going in there, while we'd like to think that this offense can still be sustainable for fantasy football, you kind of have to downgrade everyone that you see, Adam. You just have to do it. Sorry, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, it's a big problem. We've seen this offense with Kirk Cousins this year, and it does not look good. He doesn't have the arm strength, can't move. So it is brutal. I mean, you talk about a team that has just fallen off. It is Atlanta, and Drake London is a massive loss for fantasy players. I mean, anytime you lose anyone, but Drake London has been pretty dominant lately. Like, he was turning into a guy where you said, you know what, this is going to be a guy that helps carry me to a fantasy championship. He has, 4 100-yard games in the last 5, 5 touchdowns in that span. So he was just looking like he was a dominant force taking off. And there's a chance we might not see him.
Please don't say that.
I hope not. I have him in my home league and everything is coming together. And I'm like, all right, I finally got my team healthy. It's looking good. And then Drake London goes down, and I'm like, no, you got to be kidding me.
It's the same for me. I've got Drake London in a couple. And then, of course, I'm looking around like my Jalen Warren shares, Kamani Vidal, who I got off some waivers. Feels like Josh Jacobs in one. Feels like my teams were in a good spot, and now we're really going to be fighting going up into the fantasy playoffs, which is the worst feeling, Adam. It's just the worst. When you've made it this far and you say, okay, my team's pretty healthy, and now you look around, Drake London, I hope you're wrong, but we always want to be cautious with these players coming back. So you have to go pick up. I've put in a ton of bids today to just see if I could get anyone. I know that I got a couple questions yesterday, Adam, about looking down the depth chart, Kaderil Hodge being someone that you pick up, and I just don't think it's not going to. Here's the thing: it's not going to be a 1-for-1. And when we say Kirk Cousins is a downgrade for this offense, we mean for everyone. I can expect a little bit more from Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier in the ground game, because that's probably where they're going to have to go. But people might look at, Darnell Moody's not going to be out there. They might look at Kaderil Hodge just based on the numbers he got last week. I'd just be careful. And if you're spending money on him, make sure it's not a lot. Maybe $1 or $2. Don't spend much money on Kaderil Hodge.
Yeah, I don't even know if I want to do that. But again, it depends on how deep the league is. I went through one of my leagues already where waivers runs today. I saw nothing. Like, I'm not even putting in any claims. That's how bad it is. I know people are talking this week like, oh, it's a good week for the waiver wire. But if you're in a deeper league,
it's not.
It's not. A lot of these guys, like all these running backs that people are talking about, Emmanuel Wilson, Kenneth Gainwell, they're all rostered.
Yeah, I saw a couple bids. I had one go through just this morning, just about 10 minutes ago. So I put in for Theo Johnson because I needed a tight end because Sam Laporta's down and on IR. So that's disappointing. Of course, I went to stream Jonnu Smith last week and got zeros from Jonnu. So that was also not fun. And I see So I see a couple people going for Greg Dortch as well. I think that's someone that's still
Yeah.
going to be available because we should not expect to see Marvin Harrison Jr. back. I know Michael Wilson had a big game, but Greg Dortch also gave you some good fantasy numbers in that one.
I picked up Dortch in a league last week, but I did not play him.
Ah, dang. Did you have better options though? Obviously you did.
No. Well,
okay, perfect.
No, there was one where it was kind of debatable. That team is toast anyway, so it didn't matter.
And
But I'm going to play every league out, even if I can't make the playoffs. I'm playing it out.
We have to do that. And I've seen a few bids on Caleb Johnson going into this week too, just because of Jaylen Warren. I know.
I think Warren's going to play. Again,
I hope so.
You can't trust what players say. He said he could have went back in, but as I've alluded to many times, today his ankle could swell up or tomorrow. Yep. These ankle injuries are tricky. So you could feel fine after the game, but it could kick in 2 days later. So we'll have to just wait and see practice reports. But yeah, I guess sometimes you do need to anticipate, and I still don't see him doing much. I think it would be a huge Gainwell workload. We've seen it already. We saw it overseas when Warren was out, and we saw it this past week too, especially in the passing game where Gainwell had 7 for 81.
You know, the best person to ask is the one, Dwain McFarland, because the utilization report is live at fantasylife.com. You guys can go and check that out 100% free, but we're going to break that down with Dwain here coming up next. Dwain McFarland has been crunching the numbers for us, everyone. You guys all know that by now. FantasyLife.com is where you can go and check out the utilization report 100% free. Welcome to the utilization report presented by DraftKings. Dwain, how you doing? How's it going?
I'm excellent, Kendall. You know, I've been crunching the numbers. So anytime I get to crunch the numbers, I'm feeling good. Get to hear some Arctic Monkeys on the way in.
Exactly.
Just have to mention the band name again. Kendall will eventually get it, you guys.
We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it.
Yeah, week 17, I would say.
Yeah, maybe 18, maybe the Super Bowl. That's
Ronis. She did a whole season with me of this.
I know,
and still doesn't.
For whatever reason, I have to.
After working with her, I'm not surprised.
I should have remembered it for Zoe. That's the one. I'm more disappointed because Zoe's like, "Come on, Kendall, like, get it together."
She is too.
I know. Hey, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, they miss a meeting. What are we doing? We get to sit out. Maybe they get to sit out.
I don't know. I thought what was hilarious is the sideline reporting of they'll be even more motivated to make plays when they're on the field. I'm like, oh my God, what? Yeah. Okay. And if that is in fact what the coach thought, the defensive coordinator on the other side is just on the other sideline, just like chuckling, like, that's galaxy brain. Good move.
Oh my gosh, so weird. And so the utilization report is live, fantasylife.com. You can go follow Dwain on X over there at Dwain McFarland. He's tweeted it out this morning. Make sure you go take a look at it. My first question here, Dwain, is just RJ Harvey. Did we see it? Has he become the clear RB1? Obviously, we're going to be without J.K. Dobbins until I love this reporting too. Unless they make the Super Bowl, then he might be able to come back. But for us in fantasy, he's done for the year. So RJ Harvey, what did you see in this first week without him?
Yeah, so RJ Harvey took over the backfield. We had Jaleel McLaughlin involved a little bit. Tyler Bidet, also involved. Like, I just love that last name, Tyler Bidet. But yeah, when you look at Harvey, came out and took 61% of the snaps, 61% of the rushing attempts. Kendall was involved, on pass downs. At a 9% target share, all that good stuff. The cool part about it is, like, if you want to go acquire this player, is he didn't do anything. So we don't always get these scenarios where, okay, one back goes down, we've got a young player coming in. Like, a lot of times they'll just boom right away. And there's like, you have no chance to go trade for a player like this. But because Harvey didn't do that well, and he has a bye this week, like, I'm trying to get RJ Harvey anywhere that I can. Now, I will say the schedule's not exactly ideal, Kendall. You get the Commanders after the bye, then you get the Raiders, who've been a pretty tough matchup against the run. Not like insurmountable, but pretty good. Then Packers, Jaguars, Chiefs are all negative matchups. The Chiefs obviously held RJ Harvey down last week. But yeah, when I look at Harvey, I mean, he's a mid-range running back too, mainly because of the schedule the rest of the way. Otherwise, I would have him more as like a borderline running back 1.
We've been teased this year where it looked like, okay, this is the week. Woody Marks is taking over the backfield. Then it didn't happen. We saw it in week 10. What happened in week 11?
Yeah, so this is a big data point for Woody Marks, and it's similar to the RJ Harvey thing. Like he actually did keep the role, Ronis, but the fantasy points didn't come through, which is going to probably have your league mates like semi confused. In fact, one of the first tools I like to go check, every Monday morning as I get up to write my outline for the utilization report is see who all the rage cuts are. And the rage cuts are those guys. You just have to get somebody off your roster for whatever reason. You guys are out there cutting people on Sunday night, because you're pissed off or whatever. And Woody Marks was one of the top ones for running backs. People were just rage cutting this man. So yeah, the nice thing about this data point, Ronis, is the week before we did see Woody Marks in this big role, but it was a massive trailing script to the Jaguars, right? They just got weighed down. They were having to come from behind, which we had seen Woody Marks be the lead back in that kind of game script before. But in this game, we actually had a close / leading game script for the Texans, and we got the same thing from Woody Marks. So he had 72% of the snaps and 78% of the rushing attempts. He's really distanced himself from Nick Chubb at this point. Now, he has not been efficient. He has not been efficient at all. Some would say he's been bad if you want to consider it from a standpoint of yards per carry, yards after contact, all those sort of things. But you know how that goes, Ronis. One of the things that matters the least is efficiency. And it is so fluky up and down all over the place. Let's be honest, everything with fantasy sports is up and down all over the place. But whenever you look at efficiency, it's just one of those things that, yeah, we'd rather see it there because we'd feel better about him securing the job long term. But at the same time, you know how up and down that stuff can be. So not too worried about it. And they actually get the Bills this week, Ronis. So everybody's been thrashing the Bills lately on the ground. So I think that's nice. I say low-end running back, too, based on his utilization score comps. But, he could end up playing a little better than that, too.
Again, talking with Dwain McFarland here, who crunched the numbers. As always, fantasylife.com is where you can go check out that utilization report, 100% free. Emeka Egbuka. Emeka Egbuka the rest of the season. What do you think, Dwain? So I was looking through, for the last 5 games, you're under 10 fantasy points. He had the big game in week 10 going 23.5 fantasy points. But even that game, it was a little bit of an outlier, 115 yards for him off 6 receptions. But the other 4 games, though, he's under 60 yards. So what do you think? They play the Rams this weekend. And then, in the fantasy playoffs, Atlanta, Carolina, Miami. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm down for Egbuka. I'm buying like crazy. Look, when a young player like this gives us the signal that he's already given us, you need to be in. And here's the thing, guys, there's the ebb and flow of the fantasy season. You can't be like Egbuka was in the first 4 weeks, like every 4 weeks of the season. Like these things just they tend to go up and down. But here's the bottom line, Kendall, over the last 4 games, he still has 10.3 targets and 111 air yards per game. Right? He's got a 76 utilization score over that period. It was an 85 over the first 4 games. So you already know what his ceiling looks like. It's what the first 4 games of the season were, 20.1 fantasy points per game. Now, yeah, we might get Chris Godwin back, but until I see Chris Godwin play good, not worried about it. Mike Evans out at least probably until week 15, 16. Who knows with the Buccaneers coaching staff? We may not see Mike Evans till 2029. They do not give us any good information. And so even if you wanted to be bearish on him and look at his utilization score over the last 4 games, so he scored 12.2 fantasy points, Kendall, but his historical comps have averaged 15.2. So the ceiling is what you saw early this year, 20.1. The floor is really what you're seeing right now. The median between those is probably 15 to 16 fantasy points per game. 31% of his comparisons, even if you want to take that bearish case, were wide receiver 1 to 12. The other another 53% were wide receiver 2s. So, yeah, I love Egbuka. Schedule, not exactly easy, not hard either. I would say it's below average schedule the rest of the way, but looking good in my opinion.
How good is Jameson Williams looking? That's 4 touchdowns now in the last 5 games. Everybody's talking about Dan Campbell taking over calling plays. How optimistic should we feel going forward?
I'm pretty optimistic, Ronis. If you go back and look at the first 4 weeks of the season, he was just out there, getting his wind sprints down the field. Everything was deep ADOT stuff, not really getting that many targets. Then things over the next, all the way up until now, he's been used more on crossing routes and things. It's not everything just downfield. So he's more integrated in the game plan. But I think the thing that's potentially super encouraging is over the last 2 games with Dan Campbell calling plays. He's really had his most prolific role of the season. He's got an 82 utilization score over that span. And for those of you listening, the utilization score just takes the data points that we know correlate the most to scoring fantasy points in the future, and it puts them all into one data point, and we use it as a way to understand a player's role and how they're performing. It's on a scale of 0 to 100. And 82 is really good for a wide receiver, and he's averaging 21.8 fantasy points per game over the last 2 games, Ronis, with a 21% target share. You got Sam Laporta with the surprise practice injury going on IR last week. So we got at least another 3 weeks of that. And honestly, hearing them talk, it didn't sound like they're super sure Sam Laporta is going to be back right after that. So you got a condensed offense, you got a new play caller. So anytime you have that sort of thing, it's like, okay, you really do have to pay attention. And that's where a recent trend could be more valuable than, just a random 2-week sample we might get out of nowhere. But if it depends on how you want to look at him. If you want to take the bull case stance on Williams, then you're saying this last 2 games and plus Laporta's out is like where he's at. In that scenario, Ronis, 70% of his utilization score comparisons were wide receiver 1 to 12, right? 26% were wide receiver 13 to 24. You know me, I'm a little more reasonable. I put the scenarios out there for you guys because some of you want to live a little. Some of you like to live more than me, but I would go more in between that and the scenario 2, which is he looks more like what he did last year, Ronis, which was, a borderline wide receiver 2, mid-range wide receiver 3. So I would say low-end wide receiver 2, but he has wide receiver 1 upside for sure, especially while Laporta is out.
All right, Dwain, last one before we let you go here. Justin Jefferson. We've gotten questions on Justin Jefferson. We've gotten questions on, his quarterback right now and what it's looking like. What are your expectations? Because I know you wrote up he's averaging around, 11.8 fantasy points per game with McCarthy as his quarterback. Does it get better from here? Please say yes.
Yeah, I'll sum up his quarterback. He stinks.
Yeah.
He's young. He might get better. But right now, we just have to admit, it's bad. I see all the mental gymnastics going on. Well, I watched the second half of the fourth quarter, and that wasn't that bad. Okay, well, now rewind and watch the rest of the game. Come on, let's watch the whole thing, people. No, McCarthy has made some good throws, but what's interesting is despite all that, and I've talked a lot about McCarthy really nerfing the value of Jefferson, Addison, really everyone across the board in this offense, but the intent is still there. And so when we look at Justin Jefferson in these last 3 games with McCarthy, he's still averaging 10 targets and 115 air yards. So the opportunity is there for Justin Jefferson to flip the switch at any moment if he and McCarthy can get on the same page. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the passing yards have been low, but if Justin Jefferson is catching some of these balls and they're not incomplete, well, McCarthy's not throwing for 150 yards in a game, right? He's throwing more for 200. So they're still very interrelated, but just knowing that the offense is still funneling through Justin Jefferson, and obviously he's a great player. He's going to get his targets, but he is a player that I would be willing to try and trade for. Now, guys, here's the thing. His name is still Justin Jefferson. Most of you are not going to be able to get him for a reasonable price. Someone's going to want you to pay a wide receiver 1 price tag. I'm not doing that. I'm just kicking the tires on it. And if someone's done, and we're emotional people, Kendall.
Yeah.
Especially me. I'm a very emotional. No, I'm kidding. I am kind of sometimes. I try to always crunch the numbers, but sometimes I'm just I'm tired of this guy stinking it up on my roster. And you might find a weak, I might have a weak moment and be like, here, just take Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Get him. I don't want him. Take him away from me. And so that's the scenario I'm looking for when someone's looking at him more at what he truly has been over the last few weeks. If they think that's what he looks like the rest of the way, I'd be willing to trade for him. I think he's a mid-range wide receiver 2, and obviously if McCarthy were to click, he would still have wide receiver 1 upside. And the schedule's great. The next 2 games, not great, Packers, Seahawks, but then you get the Commanders. That's a plus 6.4 fantasy boost. That means they've given up that many points over the average of the wide receivers they face. Then you get the Cowboys, who looked better last night. Ronis, toot toot, 4.9. Then you got Giants at plus 5.2, and then you get the Lions. So a really good 4-game stretch to end the season and in your fantasy playoffs.
Dwain, we appreciate it so much. I'll make sure to remember the Arctic Monkeys. I always remember now. It was just after that one day where I was like, what is that song called? What's going on? But everyone can find. Yeah.
Can I ask Ronis one question? The producer can jump in my ear if not. Ronis, what'd you think last night? First game, Quentin Williams.
I mean, it looked good, but it is Vegas.
It's the Raiders.
So I don't know how much to take away. And clearly they are not making the playoffs just because of the NFC. Even if they beat Philadelphia this week somehow, it still puts them at 5-5-1. So the way I watch these games now, I'm like, just give me points for my fantasy teams. That's Dak, that's Lamb, that's Pickens. Just give me my fantasy points. I've always said this, when expectations are low, like, I don't know if it's that or is it fantasy and betting that the emotion in these games are not the same. Years ago, I would be like,
oh, me too,
on every single play going nuts. You wouldn't want to watch me watching a Cowboys game. It would look bad. You're like, damn, relax. I don't know if
my wife was afraid to invite people over.
Right? Like, exactly. So what do you think it is? Do you think it's maturity? Is it fantasy? Is it betting? Is it expectations being low? All the combination, right?
It's all those things. We've also just learned to guard our hearts, Ronis.
There we go.
We don't want to have our hearts trampled all over. We only get one life, so there's also that.
Yeah, we've endured it enough.
Stuff for me does matter.
Yeah,
it's like diluted things down so much. Sometimes I miss that purity, but also when I step back and I watch rabid fans, I'm like, oh man, I'm glad I'm not like that anymore.
Well, I'm still that way with the Mets. That's the unfortunate part, I guess, because there's been a glimmer of hope. But do you have another like professional team like the Cowboys or no?
I just follow all the Dallas teams. Okay. But I'm so into football now, like I don't follow it the way I used to. I was diehard everything in this town. Now it's like, I'll be honest, more of a fair weather kind of fan. If they're doing well, making a playoff push, I'll watch. Otherwise, it's all Cowboys, all fantasy football.
So it's all fantasy football then. No Cowboys anymore.
Pretty much.
Exactly. Listen to Adam and Dwain. Guard your hearts, everyone. Don't let your favorite teams just crush your spirit. Dwain, we appreciate it so much. Again, Utilization Report Live, fantasylife.com. That's where everyone can go and check it out. And we'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, Dwain. There he goes. Oh, by the way, new DraftKings Pick 6 customers, you can play $5 plus on your first pick set. Get $50 in bonus picks. That's right. All you need to do is play $5 plus on your first entry, and you'll get $50 in bonus picks instantly. Don't miss your shot to ride the upside. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app. Get in on the action and sign up using Dwain's promo code of Fantasy Life. We're going to continue on, Adam. It's time for those waiver wire names to know here. Coming up next. All right, guys, it's time to talk to you about Huel yet again. You know I'm going to a concert on Thursday, and you know that I might get home at 11:30 p.m. The next day, I'm not going to want to know what I have to cook or what I'm going to eat. So I want to talk to you about Huel because you do not have to worry about the sugar. You don't have to worry about if you're going to be hungry again in the next 20 minutes. They're ready to drink shakes, have 35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, no sugar added. They're gluten-free. And the best part for everyone is that they are under $5 per meal. You've heard me say it before. I'm going to send some to Adam. My favorite is the chocolate peanut butter. They also have the daily greens, which is something that I've been drinking a lot of. It's my favorite thing. I've got one right here, right now. They were developed by registered nutritionists and dietitians. 42 vitamins, minerals, and superfoods. Only 25 calories, 4 grams of fiber, and only 1 gram of sugar. Adam says that he likes to eat vegetables, but just in case you don't, you can get those. And Huel is making healthy eating simple. They also have just launched into Target stores nationwide. Try both products today with 15% off your purchase for new customers with my exclusive code FANTASYLIFE at www.huel.com/fantasylife. Use my code, fill out that post-checkout survey afterwards to help support the show. Fantasy Life is the code. You are listening to Fantasy Life right here. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you on this Tuesday. Going into week 12, Adam, that's crazy. Waiver wire names to know. I've seen back and forth. Some people are saying that there are good waiver wire names out there this potential week. And I think that can be true depending on what kind of league you're in. I think in those deeper formats, Adam, we always say, and the people listening that are in those deeper formats kind of know those 14, 16 teamers, there's not usually much. But I do understand the idea that there's going to be more out there because we had a lot of injuries, especially to the running backs. So I think if there are running backs out there and we can start by talking about them, they could be. So the first one, probably the 3 at the top, right? Emmanuel Wilson for the Packers. It's going to be my other one is Bayshul Tuten. I know he left that game for Jacksonville. I want to believe that he just didn't need to go back in, that they were just going to make sure that he stayed healthy because they were just beating up on those Chargers. And then Sean Tucker for the Bucks, Kenneth Gainwell for the Steelers. Those are the top 4. And, you know, probably, at least for me in the order that they go, that's probably what they're going to look like. I know for a lot of, like, Kenneth Gainwell. We can start there. Let's start with Kenneth Gainwell because Jaylen Warren left that game with the ankle injury. Doesn't seem like a major issue, but he should be one that's pretty well rostered, but still someone that you want to have, stashed away on your bench.
Yeah, it sounds like it wasn't serious for Warren, but again, we'll have to see when he shows up to the facility if there's swelling, is there more pain? Because sometimes you're fine after the game and it's the next couple days. Gainwell has shown this year, when given the opportunity, that he could put up numbers in this offense, and we know what he could do in the passing game. He had a huge game overseas when Warren was a last-minute scratch that morning. So he definitely becomes appealing. Again, I do think a lot of these running backs in the deeper formats are on a roster, but we know there are people that play in a variety of formats. So these running backs could be available in some of those. Yeah.
I think one that we could see this week and it is Emmanuel Wilson. So if he is available to you, he was able to step in after Josh Jacobs went down with his injury. We got good news though on Josh Jacobs, which is, good news all the way around that he's more considered week to week. But his status then for week 12 is still up in the air. And Wilson dominated this backfield when he was out. He ran 11 times, 40 yards. He had a touchdown there. Chris Brooks touched the ball 1 time. So I guess in those deeper formats, that could be the next man up. If for whatever reason there's another injury, when we never know when those are going to happen, but Chris Brooks would be the RB2 technically if everyone jumps the depth chart with Josh Jacobs potentially being out. So he's the other one. And like I said, Bayshul Tuten's one I like. I still want to recommend Sean Tucker, even though we could get Bucky Irving back at him. You never know. They could bubble wrap him and say, you know what, we don't want to put a lot of pressure on you or risk you getting re-injured the first week that you're back. This could be a running back by committee approach until they know he's 100%. So I think Sean Tucker, especially after what we saw with the 106 yards, 2 touchdowns last week, he's going to be at the top of a lot of lists too.
Yeah, there's no guarantee that Bucky is back this week. He was limited in practice last week. They really need to find out if he's able to take on contact with that shoulder. I think that's the biggest thing. So if Bucky were to be out, I would rather start Tucker over Rachaad White at this point. We've seen Tucker's role pretty much expand slowly over the last 3 weeks and then finally saw the big game this past week. It is a tough matchup this week going up against the Rams on Sunday night, so you do have to take that into account. But yeah, I do think Tucker, I started in a couple leagues this past week.
There you go.
Yeah, I didn't expect that, but I will take it.
No, you definitely expected it. We're professionals here.
Well,
You knew
yeah,
exactly what was going to happen.
We saw it last year, right? When he had that game to start and he had a huge game, and then we never saw him the rest of the year.
Exactly.
So
it's fine. Everything's fine. I think another one that is going to be interesting for some people is Bam Knight potentially for the Cardinals. I've seen and I've looked around. I don't know about their IR stints and who's coming back when. But I do know that we got news a couple hours ago that Amari DiMercato suffered a high ankle sprain. So he is unlikely to play on Sunday going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That was per Adam Schefter. So he left in the second quarter of that loss to the 49ers Sunday, I should say, not yesterday. So this could be another one where you look and Bam, I'm thinking Bam Knight might be available to some people here listening. So he's also on the list as someone that could potentially just, once you pick him up, be slated to play immediately.
yeah, my 2 starting running backs in GSD this past week, Bam Knight and Sean Tucker. Sometimes you get a little lucky, right?
So you won then, right? You beat
I
Jim?
did.
Hey, there we go.
I still don't see how the teams make it the playoffs, but hey, I'm hanging in there at 6-5.
Bam Knight is only 18% rostered across Yahoo League. So again, if you're listening, we try and make sure that we get the shallow formats and the deeper formats, but he's one that people might have just cut. They said, hey, I can't keep messing around with this. So he might be out there. And like I said, Adam, he seems like one that's going to play immediately, obviously, with all these injuries that they have. When is Benson coming back?
I don't know. See,
I think I
believe he should be eligible to return, but I haven't seen that he is close because obviously that's the guy that I think would take over.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, if he's out again, then you're definitely looking at Bam Knight with Michael Carter on passing downs because we did see Michael Carter in that game. So, yeah, I mean, the last I saw was Jonathan Gannon saying we're taking it day by day with Benson. That was last week. So, remember, they did say 4 to 6 weeks was the timeline. So it doesn't appear, at least right now, that he's close. So it's going to be Bam Knight and Michael Carter.
He went down in week 4 against the Seahawks. That was Thursday Night Football. So this was his 5th consecutive game that he's missed. So it lines up with the timeline. We'll see. Maybe we go one more here this week with Benson, and then he's able to return. But that's why it's really important. I mean, if you're looking at anyone, Bam Knight is one that you can pick up and not say, well, we have to wait for the injury reports because we know Amari DiMercato is not going to be good to go. So you could plug him and play him immediately. We've got more names. Obviously, that was a lot of running backs. I want to make sure we get to some of the quarterbacks because we've got a lot of quarterback injuries going on right now. Some wide receivers that you can stash as well. We're going to go through those names here coming up next. More waiver wire names to know right here on Fantasy Life, Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you on this Tuesday. My article is live and 100% free, so you guys can make sure and go and check that out at fantasylife.com. Some quarterbacks we could talk about here, Adam, because there's been a lot of quarterback. I mean, this past week, especially Aaron Rodgers, they said he's 50-50. Which I'm a little bit surprised about that he might be able to go this weekend. But Aaron Rodgers is one we have to watch out for. You know that Michael Penix Jr. is not going to be here the rest of the season. So him as a streaming option is kind of out. CJ Stroud's still in concussion protocol too, by the way. So we're going to get word on that. We have to know that by today, right?
They play Thursday, so
we have to know. It's not necessarily good though. So if you have him, hopefully you hung on to whoever you were playing in place of him. But a couple of quarterbacks. I honestly, Adam, and this is gross, but I wrote up Tyler Shough. Because if we're talking about guys that might be available, I wish I could say Joe Flacco and Jacoby Brissett, and those are two really good options. Jacoby Brissett, more specifically, he'd be at the top of the list, but I'm trying to be realistic about who could be out there. And the Saints are coming off their bye. We do have to remember, though, before their bye week, he did finish that game, 282 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's taking a step forward every single week. That doesn't mean it's necessarily good, but if you're in a super flex format and you're looking for a quarterback that you just need to plug in this weekend, Tyler Shough may be that guy.
Not in a super flex league because I got him.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, everyone. Adam is taking him.
But yeah, I guess you could be looking at a replacement this week for Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, right? Yep. I mean, I don't think anyone has Tua in a league where you start one quarterback, and Mariota's been a streamer. So it's really Herbert and Nix that you're looking to replace this week. You mentioned Brissett. Maybe he's still out there.
If he is, he's at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Every time.
I don't think he's going to complete 47 passes every week, but they are a team that will probably be playing from behind. Their defense has been not good. They've been giving up points. They are going against Jacksonville this week. They are home underdogs, 2.5-point dogs, but a total of 47.5.
You buying into Bryce Young? You want to do this again? I can't.
Oh,
boy. Oh man, it's just like, speaking of record-setting performances, Bryce Young, everyone, which is insane because he threw for 448 yards, 3 touchdowns in that win over the Falcons last weekend, and you just never know when to expect that with Bryce Young. So I also wrote him up. He's in the QB2 mix for week 12 because I look at the 49ers here, Adam, and that's who they're going up against. They just allowed that day to Jacoby Brissett. Not to say that they're on the same level, but there is a chance. You're telling me there's a chance. They could be a chance there with Bryce Young. Again, this is not for one quarterback leagues. He's going to be out of the top 20, but if you do need a second quarterback, Adam's second quarterback in Superflex, you can go to him.
Yeah, thanks. That is my combination more than likely this week, Young and Shough, as they try to battle for a playoff spot with two of the worst quarterbacks you'll see in a super flex league. So, I guess with Young, we did see him finish the season strong last year. And the San Francisco defense has been giving up a lot of points. And you got to figure, too, they will play from behind. 49ers a 7-point favorite. You like the 49ers offense right now. Purdy came back, threw 3 touchdowns. So they might be forced to pass more than they want.
Exactly. So Bryce Young, again, it's gross. I know, not the sexiest name that we can name out there, but someone you can go and pick up as well. I think wide receivers, Michael Wilson, Christian Watson, and I want to say Luther Burden here, Adam. Those are the three probably in that order. I think Luther Burden's going to be the most available guy. I just think he's going to continue, rising up and getting the playing time that we want to see. His utilization score has gone up the past couple of weeks as well. So, and we know what we saw with Michael Wilson. He's good. Christian Watson, Greg Dortch, if he's still out there, I picked him up in one league just because I've got some injuries, more specifically to Drake London, which stinks. But those are probably some wide receivers you can go and look at.
Yeah, I guess Darnell, Moody in some more shallow formats could be out there. Jayden Higgins has seen his role increase as well. You mentioned Dortch. So, yeah, there's a couple of decent. Burden is a guy that picked up weeks ago and just stashing him. And it could take some time, but we have seen, as you mentioned, him starting to slowly increase his role in the offense.
And they get a nice matchup with the Steelers for week 12. So you're looking at maybe the Bears, and Pittsburgh's given up the fourth most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers this season. So again, not necessarily, if you get Burden, it's not saying you can play him right away, because like Adam just said, it's more of a stash. That's what I've been doing with him. But if you're in a desperate spot with all these injuries that have been happening, then maybe you need to. But that's a good matchup, at least, if you have to go get Luther Burden. We're going to continue on. You know what time it is. Time for that Fantasy Life water cooler. Call us in, send us your questions. We're going through news and notes you need to know here next. It is time for that Fantasy Life water cooler. Kenneth, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you right here. Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. This is where we're going through all the pieces of news that you might have missed, all the notes that you need to know heading into week 12. I can't believe that, Adam. I couldn't even believe when you told me that this weekend's going to be they're playing on the 23rd or something this Sunday. Insane. We have to get ready because the fantasy playoff push is here, and we have to keep our eyes on the prize, and that's what we're doing in the water cooler. Again, news and notes that you need to know, and of course, trying to help you as much as we can. So if you have questions for us, use that call-in number 888-963-2682, or you can press that call-in button on the SiriusXM app. You can also find us over there on X, at KValenzuela17, at Adam Ronis over there as well. So if you have questions, waiver wire, things you need to know going into week 12, make sure you send us those questions our way. And then fantasylife.com. Of course, if you can't get through to us on the phones, if you can't, message us right now, you can go to fantasylife.com, and everything you need to continue dominating your leagues is there. The utilization report, like we just talked through with Dwain McFarland about, is there 100% free. My waiver wire article, and then of course our newsletter. So you can get that in your inbox 7 days a week. You can go and subscribe to that on the website and use that code SXM20. Gets you 20% off at checkout if you're looking to purchase Fantasy Life Plus Tier 1 or Tier 2. All right, Adam, before we get into all the news that we talked about at the top of the show, want to make sure that we get into the Jets, because the Jets have done it. And we talked about this, I think, just yesterday, but they have benched Justin Fields to start Tyrod Taylor this weekend. And so Justin Fields might have been a guy that you were hanging on to and maybe starting in, formats where there just wasn't other people available, because Justin Fields always gave us the upside with fantasy football with his legs, right? He had the rushing upside where we said, okay, he's not a good real life quarterback, and we can see that, but at least he's going to give us fantasy points on the ground, and that's what he has kind of been doing. It's been highs and lows, though, Adam. Hasn't been a good season, obviously, for Justin Fields. To me, when he first went to the Jets, I said, well, this is great. He doesn't have to look over his shoulder unless he plays so poorly that they have to change it out. But he gave you 19.34 fantasy points week 11, but wasn't good enough for the Jets going up against New England. So now it's going to be Tyrod Taylor week 12 going up against the Baltimore Ravens.
No one was starting Fields unless you were in a super flex league. There was just way too much risk over the last few weeks, and he did have a solid game last week. But we all knew that this was a chance it was going to happen. And more than likely, it was going to happen very soon, whether it was in game or now they're making this decision early in the week. It doesn't bode well for Taylor, though. This is just a bad situation. There are just no receivers to throw to. And Garrett Wilson's probably not going to be back. You would feel better if he was there. He's on injured reserve. I don't see the team bringing him back this year. And it's a bad spot for Taylor. I mean, yeah, if you're in a super flex league, any quarterback that has a starting job, you're going to look to acquire them. If maybe you're in a situation where you're two quarterbacks or one are on bye this week and you're going to take a chance, but you can't feel good about Taylor. going into this situation, and he's going against the Ravens. They are 13-point underdogs, and the Ravens have allowed 2 passing touchdowns in their last 5 games. So if you look overall, you're like, oh, yeah, they've been giving up their top 10 in fantasy points allowed. It has really changed over the last 5 games. Yes, the numbers are skewed a little bit because they went against the Browns this past week, but Stafford only had 1 touchdown pass and 181 yards against them. Caleb Williams had 285 passing yards, but no passing touchdowns. Tua had no passing touchdowns, and McCarthy had 1. So they've been a lot better on the defensive side of the football, and Taylor just doesn't have much to work with.
Yeah, it's just disappointing. You downgrade everyone. I know that I had Mason Taylor on my bench in a couple leagues, and I'm just trying to not starting necessarily, but I'm looking at other ways to maybe stream.
That is, he actually might be. It might help him.
He'll be okay
with Taylor. Yeah, I'm not saying he's a must start, but I'm saying there's a glimmer of hope, I think, at least with Taylor at quarterback for Taylor going forward. It just wasn't happening with Fields.
But his route participation went to 61% over the last 2 games. He's splitting time with Jeremy Ruckert.
That makes no sense.
So I don't know if that's what they're going to. That's the one thing I'm looking at is when you guys go to the utilization report. That's why it's so nice to see the route participation. For whatever reason, I'm like, why am I seeing Jeremy Ruckert out there? So I think he's a low end tight end too, and that's why I tried to go get Theo Johnson, because if I need a streamer, I think I'm going to have him higher in my rankings than Mason Taylor.
Yeah, the Giants will definitely be playing from behind. The Lions always. After a loss, they always bounce back against the spread under Campbell. And this is a spot where they are going to explode this week. They are 10.5-point favorites at home against the Giants. The total's 50.5. Lions are putting up 40 this week.
There we go. And like we said, the Jets are just bad. I think at the time yesterday when this happened, they hold the they've got the 5th overall draft pick 2026 right now. They have 2 first-round picks in 2026, another 3 in 2027 because they sold everyone being Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams. So we'll see how they rebuild, Adam. It's not a good year for quarterbacks coming into the draft, though. That's one thing that I do know is this quarterback draft class is not necessarily amazing. So well, we'll just have to see what the Jets do. Hopefully they make the right decision, right? Because we know that they can do that. Jets know that they can do that.
The Jets have a history. The Jets have a history of making savvy decisions. There's nothing to worry about.
I fear them putting those picks together into a package to trade for a quarterback. And if it's not just an elite level guy, I'm going to be really sad about it. So we'll have to wait and see. But what could go wrong with the Jets and their organization? Absolutely nothing. All right, continuing on. And again, the phone number to call in, 888-963-2682 at KValenzuela17 at Adam Ronis over there on X. If you have questions for us, send them in. Mentioned this just a couple segments ago when we were going through waiver wire names to know, but CJ Stroud does still remain in concussion protocol. This is important because they play Thursday. So I'm assuming if you're listening and you have CJ Stroud, you've already gone and gotten, some kind of streamer option, whether it be, Tyler Shough, whoever that you've needed for the past week or so. But Davis Mills would be the guy that obviously they continue to turn to. Hasn't been awful though with Davis Mills. I mean, Nico Collins, if you're a Nico Collins manager, that's really who we're looking at the most here. But you've been pretty happy with it. I mean, utilization score has gone up by 11 points over the past month, sits at 78 for the season, 15.1 points per game. And he averages the targets with Davis Mills is what you love for Nico Collins, right? 8.8 targets, 107 air yards per contest. And in these games with Davis Mills, it's looked even better. So I have him as a low end wide receiver 1. And we talked with Dwain about, what he marks and everything else there, that he should be solid going forward.
Yeah, that's what you worry most about in the Texans passing game. Get the ball to Nico Collins, and Davis Mills has been able to do that. And yeah, this is a good spot for Woody Marks this week. I know Dwain touched upon it in hour 1 where the volume was there for Marks this past week, the utilization, but we did not see the results. We should this week against Buffalo because Buffalo has just been getting destroyed on the ground by running backs. So I think part of it is the offensive line has been great for the Texans. That's why it's been a struggle for Woody Marks. But hopefully this is a week where he can produce. And they're going to have to rely on the run here against Buffalo. They just have been getting gashed on the ground, the sixth most fantasy points to the running back position. So this is a week that you need to see Marks come through, and he's definitely in the RB2 area. I will be starting him in the leagues I have him this week.
Yeah, same here. Bad news for the Falcons. It is Michael Penix Jr. expected to miss the rest of the season. Drake London out at least this week with the PCL sprain. I'm worried, Adam, that it's going to be longer than that. So if you have Drake London, like myself, you need to go out and get someone that you can at least hopefully rely is such a big word. Trust is such a big word, but someone that you could at least stream for the next couple of weeks to actually see if Drake London's going to be good to come back. Kirk Cousins is going to be the QB1 for the Falcons. We talked about this first hour of the show, Adam. You downgrade everyone, and it's unfortunate, but you just have to. I've seen people ask about Daryl Hodge, saying, "Oh, next man up. Who's the next wide receiver that I can go and get?" I would just exercise caution if you're trying to get him. Could he have a boom game? Absolutely, but just don't spend too much money on him. I think they're going to go to the ground game. It's going to be Bijan Robinson. Tyler Algier's already been in flex territory because of his red zone work, so that's where I think they go with this. And maybe Kyle Pitts. Like maybe we see a little bump for Kyle Pitts, but those are really the only three guys that I'm going to be able to trust in starting lineups. And trust, like I said, is such a strong word. You're going to trust Bijan, Tyler Algier's a flex, and then Kyle Pitts could hopefully give you some spike weeks here.
Yeah, Mooney just has not looked good all year, though. He's dealt with a lot of injuries. We have seen him have good games with Cousins before. So that's the hope. I mean, it's kind of more desperation at this point. And Pitts, as you mentioned, they're going to try and rely on the running game. Again, this is a game, too, where it should stay competitive against the Saints. It is a total of 39.5. The line is 2.5. Who would have thought Saints would be favored in a game the rest of the year? And they are, right?
Look at them. Go Saints. It's just bad for the Falcons, though. Not good news. Again, Michael Penix Jr. is going to be out the rest of the year. You can go find my waiver wire article. Wrote up a couple of quarterbacks that you can maybe go and get. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be fun, but there are some names out there for you. I can't believe I forgot to bring this up at the top of the hour. We've just been having so much fun. So Jamar Chase was suspended for one game for spitting on Jalen Ramsey, which is, anyway, whatever. Just don't spit on people. I think we can start there as a good piece of advice. He is trying to appeal that. So we'll see if that actually stays. I would assume, Adam, that's going to stick. And so that means that we're not going to see potentially not everything confirmed yet, but that means we're not going to see Jamar Chase potentially in week 12. So that's a big loss for this team. T. Higgins managers stand up because that means he is going to get a lot of the work. They're playing at home going up against the New England Patriots. I've seen a couple people pick up Andre Iosivas, who's we've talked about more as a streamer. That was last season when he was kind of on the up and up there. But it's really T. Higgins, Chase Brown. That's really what we're looking at here as an upgrade.
Yeah, I guess in deep leagues, you could take a chance on Iosivas, Noah Fant as well. They are likely going to be playing from behind in this game, have to pass a lot. They are 8.5 point underdogs at home. Total is 48.5.
Did you see how much, it's just like Adam's game check. If he missed a show, he gets fined $448,000 along with $58,823 per game for his active bonus. That would be forfeited as well. So
that's very expensive for saliva.
$450,000 to what?
Well, that's why I don't
smarter.
That's why I don't miss the show. I can't afford to miss that type of check. Yeah, no, I'm here every day. It doesn't matter.
It's tough. $450,000. I understand it. You can't lose that.
Yeah, I'm not losing that payday.
A crazy weekly paycheck, by the way. Can we just be smarter? I don't know why we've now started, because at the beginning of the year it was Jalen Carter and now it's Jamar Chase, and he denied it, and then they had video evidence that he did it. So
he's smart. Just keep denying it. It doesn't matter if there's video.
Oh yeah, no,
it's an illusion. People are seeing things. It's like he didn't do it. Just keep denying it.
Oh my god!
No matter how deep you're caught in the lie, just deny.
Oh man, we'll see if he's good.
That's how I've gone through life.
Oh, great. That's great advice from only Adam Ronis, everyone, not me. I'm not co-signing that. You do believe that suspension gets upheld, right, for this week? Is there any chance? Yeah, no.
Yeah, I would be surprised.
The last piece of news here that I want to make sure we get to, mentioned it before, but Amari DiMercato does have that high ankle sprain, so he is definitely in doubt, more than unlikely to play for Sunday's game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That means Bam Knight would step up because we still have no Trey Benson coming off of IR. This might be the last week that we're without him, Adam, but again, we haven't heard much, so maybe as the week progresses, we hear a little bit more about him and coming off IR. Josh Jacobs' knee structurally intact, considered week to week. So we'll see. I would be shocked if we saw Josh Jacobs this weekend, Adam, but you never know. Emmanuel Wilson is that guy. He shouldn't be on waivers. If he is, go and pick him up. But he might get the full workload as the RB1 if Josh Jacobs is not good to go.
Yeah, nothing would surprise me with Jacobs. This guy is tough as hell. Remember, there was a game where it looked like he wasn't going to play with a calf issue, and then he did play. But, when you hear week to week, to me, that's at least 1 week you're sitting out. I understand that it is a important game for Green Bay here. Mm-hmm. They need these W's. They're home to Minnesota. But I would expect Jacobs to miss at least 1 week, if not longer.
Emmanuel Wilson, that's the guy you go and pick up. Chris Brooks in the deeper formats, just in case. We never want injuries, but in case Emmanuel Wilson were to go down, with the way that this year has been, Adam, I wouldn't be shocked about anything. I can't, every single week I message and I try and, message. We've got a group where I say, hey, the waiver wire article is done, if we can get that posted. And every single week I say, we can't keep coming up with names. There's too many guys that are being injured every single week, and I can't believe there are still names that we can talk about. I mean, we're really, really close to scraping the bottom of the barrel with some of these. I wrote up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 injuries in week 11.
Yeah, Sunday it felt like every couple of minutes there was an alert of an injury of someone going down, and it's unfortunately part of the game and why you just have to keep plugging away, working the waiver wire, making trades. And again, it's another example of how you cannot give up. Even if you were sitting with 3-4 wins, you could easily turn it around. And then there's teams in front of you that are getting hit hard by injuries where they're going to fall. So yeah, it's perseverance and just keep plugging away and adding players off the waiver wire. And you could easily turn your season around and just get in the postseason.
What are the Chargers going to do if Kamani Vidal isn't good to go? You look down there.
The good thing is they're on bye this week. So
yeah, but after that, if he's not good to go with Amari and Hampton, that would be
probably a running game we would avoid.
Hampton on IR, Haskins on IR, Najee Harris obviously on IR and done for the season. They have to.
They do get the Raiders though coming off bye. Yes. Wow, they have to win that game because we're starting to look at them now as a team that could fall out of the playoff mix with all these injuries. Wow, so after their bye, they're home to the Raiders. That is a must win. If they lose that, it could be over because then they're home to the Eagles, at Kansas City, at Dallas, home to the Texans, and at Denver. The Chargers are in real trouble. They are in trouble.
Is that their fantasy? What is
fantasy players at Kansas City, at Dallas, home to the Texans?
Wow. So there's like one good game in there in the middle. Dallas.
And
for fantasy purposes.
Think about it though. If that offensive line continues to be a problem, Dallas might even be able to get to Herbert. So, because if you're looking at the playoff picture and everyone's like, "Oh, is Kansas City going to get in?" I think the way they do is for the Chargers to fall off, and it's certainly possible.
It is possible. The Chargers right now, if the playoffs started today, the Broncos would get that bye in the AFC, and the Chargers have the 6th seed, so they would be going up against the Colts. But the Chargers sit at 7-4 right now. So you're right. And Chiefs are in desperation mode at this point. Can you imagine a playoff scenario without the Chiefs where we don't have to break down the Chiefs? That would be weird.
I think everyone in the AFC would love that because even as things look now with Kansas City and it doesn't look good, that is still a team you do not want to see in the postseason.
The Bills would be the 5th seed, sitting at 7-3. And then on the NFC side, the Eagles, if it started literally today, would be the 1 seed. And then you've got the Bears in the playoffs and the Packers still. Crazy. What a weird season. It's kind of fun, though, that we don't have this dominant team yet. I think someone's going to emerge, and I think it could end up just being the Eagles-Rams. But I'm having fun with all these, the Colts in the playoffs, the Patriots, the Chargers.
Patriots 9-2,
the
Denver
Jacksonville
9-2.
Jaguars. What are we doing?
Jacksonville will not get in.
6-4 Jacksonville Jaguars. Crazy. What world are we living in?
Yeah, it's one of those years. So
So
it does
fun.
make it fun and exciting and unpredictable.
It is so fun. We're going to go through, it's not fun though, getting chopped in guillotine leagues. It wasn't me though. Sorry, Matt Swing, our other producer at Fantasy Life. I was able to beat him by like 5 points because Dak Prescott didn't throw a final touchdown, which was absolutely phenomenal. But we're going to go through most chopped guillotine league players. Adam has the list. I've got my list as well. We're going to see who the most chopped players were in week 11 here coming up next. This is Fantasy Life right here, and we are going through the most chopped guillotine league players across week 11. It was gritty here, Adam. Like I said, I was able to survive the chop in definitely one league. I'm still alive in 4. I've been chopped in 2, 3. Been chopped in 3, still alive in 4. This is where it gets difficult, though, because some of the names on the list, I think this week is a little bit easier than most are going to be, but I've got guys. So Adam has the list now. Adam has the list for this week. I'll have the list next week. But I've got some guys that I'm curious if people even need to be starting at this point that we were talking about, 5 weeks ago. But now their rosters could be so loaded that they don't even need to start them. So you've got the list. Top 10 most chopped guillotine league players. You ready to go?
Yeah. What's your first guess?
So my first guess, and this one, he has to be on there, but it is one Lamar Jackson. I saw him chopped across a lot of leagues. So that's my first guess. Yes.
He is number 4 on the list, chopped in 21.2% of leagues.
4.72 fantasy points. But Lamar Jackson to me, and we're gonna keep talking about this, to me though, is he an endgame player to you? So the fantasy playoffs, well, it doesn't even matter because guillotine leagues, we really don't look at weeks 15, 16, 17. You need to survive weekly. So they play the New York Jets in week 12, but it's been, he got 25 points once he was able to come back in week 9, week 10, 16 fantasy points. To me, though, I think I texted you this. He still looks a little bit injured or something just doesn't look right with Lamar Jackson right now. And that's the only thing that worries me.
I will say it was a divisional game against the Browns, who always seem to play well against them. So you look at this upcoming schedule, the Jets, the Bengals, the Steelers, the Bengals again. He gets the Bengals twice in the next 4 weeks. So I think you do want him. Again, as we've said repeatedly, you just cannot spend a lot of money on quarterbacks. So I would be bidding on him, not much. And also at this point, the quarterback, I don't know, quarterback's play has kind of been up and down, right?
Sure. Yeah.
If you have Drake May, you're good. Like, how many quarterbacks would you say, yeah, I feel great about having them as my starter every week right now? I don't think it's as many as we think.
I think it's 5, 4, maybe even.
It's a low number.
It's low. I think it's Drake May. I would say, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes didn't give you really much this past week. And I would say Lamar.
Mahomes had 2 down games in a row.
Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. So maybe 3. Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts.
Can we even say that about Hurts? Hurts has had 2 bad games. He's not running much. Stafford obviously has been one. He didn't have he had 2 touchdowns, but that's the thing. You could be looking to improve outside of those quarterbacks. Dak had 2 down games and bounced back. He does have at least 3 touchdown passes in 5 of his last 7 games. Daniel Jones has been up and down. We talked about Herbert. He's on bye and the offensive line issues. So there's only a handful of quarterbacks where you say, okay, yeah, that's my guy every week. So you could be looking to pick up Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I'm going to try and spend money on him, to be totally honest. I will say Jalen Hurts, they get Dallas this next week. So I saw he might, if he's available, 14.5 fantasy points. Well, I'll ask you after this. Let me try and go for my second guy here. Let me do an easy one. Amon-Ra St. Brown has to be in the top 10.
He is number 3.
There we go.
This is an easy week,
this
man.
Is an easy week.
For real. This is probably the easiest week I've seen.
So many big players just didn't give us what we needed this week. It was a down week. Let me say my third then. Let me go Ladd McConkey. I think Ladd has to be on this list as well.
Yes, he is number 6.
Yeah. Ladd was an interesting one to me because I was like, are people still playing Ladd McConkey? Do they have better options? All right, let me ask you these other ones because these were my borderline guys. Devontae Adams. Was Devontae Adams top 10?
He is that, let's see, 10. Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
No, actually 11. My bad. He was 11.
Dang.
Just missed it.
No buzzer. That was not my guess. I already got these. I already got these. What about?
Yeah, let's go.
Whatever. What about Oronde Gadsden? Are people still needing to play Oronde Gadsden?
No, he's not here.
Okay, Josh, get out of here. Kamani Vidal.
Vidal. No.
Wow. Okay. Good thing I went for the top 3 then that I had, because the list after that stunk. Okay, last one. And then we'll dive into how much we're going to spend on these guys. Devontae Smith has to be there.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He is number 8.
Yeah. All right. So can you give us the top? Let's go through top 5, right? And see how much we'd be willing to spend. We also have to remember there's just less money going around right now. Like if you're still in your Guillotine League formats, you kind of know. I mean, producer Ronnie has $2 left to his name in Guillotine Leagues. He's going to try and get Jamar Chase over the overnight. Like, let's see if he can do that. But who was the 5th most chopped player?
Number 5, Jonathan Taylor.
Ooh.
On bye. That's why we go through this every week.
I know. Was Saquon on this list again?
No, he was not. Not in the top 10. He was 15th.
Okay. All right.
Ending a brilliant run by him.
So good. So good. So Jonathan Taylor, week 12, plays Kansas City. Then he's at home against Houston before taking on Jacksonville and the Seahawks. So Jonathan Taylor does, though. I mean, when we say end game player, how can you not just unload the fab on him and try and get? I would spend probably $230 on Jonathan Taylor, and I would understand not actually getting him with that bid.
Yeah, look, I would spend. I know it's not the best matchups in the weeks ahead. I don't think it matters for a player like Taylor. I don't care what the matchups are. He can break off a 40, 50-yard run at any time. He's going to be fed the football, especially in these tough matchups. They're going to lean on him more. They don't want Daniel Jones to turn over the football. So, yeah, I would spend a huge amount of money on Jonathan Taylor if he's available in a Guillotine League.
That's going to be a big game, like you said, for Kansas City, but that's going to be a fun one. Colts coming off their bye, taking on Kansas City at Kansas City.
Wait,
Ooh.
that's a 1 o'clock game, right? Because I was looking at the 4 o'clock window.
Really?
It is horrendous this week.
Great.
That 4 o'clock window.
We've got some bad games this week. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, that's a 1 o'clock Colts Chiefs. Listen to this 4 o'clock window. You got the best game is the Eagles Cowboys, and I don't even know. The other 3 games: Browns Raiders, Jags Cardinals, Falcons Saints.
Stop. What did we do to deserve this?
So you're gonna watch Cowboys Eagles,
of course,
right?
I'm gonna watch Cowboys. Yeah.
That is just a horrendous window, and
Colts. It's not a good week.
Colts Chiefs at 1, and the Chiefs are favored by 3.5.
Okay. All right. Who was the 4th most shot player?
Number 4, Lamar Jackson.
I'm thinking the same thing with Lamar though, because it has been an up and down season. Like you said, how many quarterbacks are we comfortable starting week in and week out? I'd still spend like $100 on Lamar Jackson.
Really? I think
I would. You don't think so?
No, not that high. It also depends on who your other quarterback is. But now that we're down to fewer teams, I would look and see, okay, what do other teams have at quarterback? There's probably 1 or 2 that might go for Jackson, see how much money they have. I think it's very important. You've got to look at other people's budgets. This is in redraft leagues too. It's very important. You cannot just put out bids in the queue without looking at what other people have, because sometimes there's people that don't have a lot of money left. Maybe the highest, say, is, for example, I'm just giving an example, 148, and you have the most money left. So now if you want a player, you bid 149, they're yours. So you have to look at what other people have left. And I got to think most people are pretty good at quarterback, but there could be a team out there like that has Justin Herbert and he's on bye. So, but yeah, I would be looking to bid on Lamar Jackson in Guillotine Leagues. Because again, Bengals 2 times in the next 4 weeks, Jets this week. I'm not going to take that Browns game and say, that's it. He's done. He's not healthy. They just always play him well.
I will say we've got updated Guillotine League rankings on the website. So fantasylife.com, if you guys want to go and check that out. We've got weekly rankings, and this is where I use a lot of the rest of season rankings, Adam, to be totally honest, because this is completely different than regular fantasy football. When we talk about most chopped players, all those guys that get chopped go back into the waiver wire week in and week out. So I really utilize our season-long rankings to see where some of these guys are. So Lamar Jackson, like you said, you might not have to spend much, but look around in your league. Who was the third most?
I'm on Ross St. Brown.
Ooh. Endgame player for you? What do you think?
Yeah, I would spend a lot on
be.
him too. I think
What do you think?
this was just
230 on Amon-Ra?
over 200 for sure. This was by far the worst game we will see from St. Brown this year. Goff was just off. He doesn't play well outdoors. It was at night game, cold and wind. I mean, St. Brown had 12 targets and caught 2 for 42. Like, come on. That's something you never see. So he has a high floor every single week. This was that one bad game. And they have every game indoors up until week 18 when they're at Chicago. So, and then this week against the Giants. Yeah. So, you're spending a lot.
Yeah, Giants, Green Bay, Dallas, all of those ones at home for them as well. So that's nice. Three games at home. I'm spending a lot on. I wish Amon-Ra St. Brown was available in one of my leagues. It's not Matt Swing. I was in another one that got chopped though, and I was looking through the players that are now on the waiver wire. That team stunk. I can't believe they made it this far. There was no one no great name, and I said, well, this isn't as fun. Who is the second most chopped player?
Justin Herbert.
Oh. Listen, we've talked about that offensive line and how their offensive line woes, everything else. It's not looking great. They're on a bye this week as well. So that means that you shouldn't be spending much, if anything, on Justin Herbert. I would say maybe $10. See if maybe you can get him just to shore up what you have left. But week 13, when they come back from a bye, they're at home against Las Vegas. Then they're at home against Philly before taking on the Chiefs, Dallas, and Houston. So not necessarily the easiest schedule, and we've seen them really come down. 3.34 fantasy points for Justin Herbert in week 11. That's after 14.7 in week 10. I'd do maybe $10 if you need a backup.
I might do $1 or $2.
The bye week could get him then.
I don't think he should. I don't think he should spend $1 of his money, of his $2 on Herbert with the bye week. Yes, the Vegas matchup's great, but after that, it's rough in the offensive line. Again, love Herbert, love the talent. He's running a little bit too, but again, I'm not going to spend on a quarterback.
All right, the most chopped player across guillotine leagues. I don't think I said his name. Who is it?
You did not. It is Josh Jacobs.
Oh, wow. Okay. Ooh, this one. Well, the waivers run tonight, so we can't really wait to see what he looks like and what his status could be for this week. Any player that's week to week, though. Oh, but it's Josh Jacobs. So they play Minnesota this week. Then they're at Detroit, home against Chicago, at Denver, at Chicago, finishing off with the Baltimore Ravens, and then Baltimore, and then Minnesota Vikings. Wow, I'm torn on this one. What would you do here? Because he's obviously injured, but is he an endgame player where you would spend the money so that when he comes back, you just say, all right, now I can plug him in and play him?
No, just because of we don't know the status of his injury. They could tell me all they want that. I mean, first we heard it's not season ending. Whenever you hear that, you're like, wait, what? And it's week to week. So I just can't spend a lot of money. I know he has a high floor. They rely on him. They give him massive volume, but I just have to go with a low bid here unless I'm really desperate. It's just, you could make that bid. Like say you spend a decent amount of money and then it comes out, yeah, it's worse than we thought after looking further and he's going to miss 2 to 4 weeks. Now you just wasted money. So I understand sometimes you need to take a chance and be aggressive, but I'm going to spend on a more short thing. And I can't say that about Jacobs right now.
So what's your low bid? Like $12?
Oh, like 20, 25.
Okay.
Which is probably not going to get him. There'll be someone that goes higher. There's going to be
someone, which, and I understand it too. There's going to be someone that says, all right, well, he's just going to be out for 1 week. And hopefully that is the case. But yeah, Josh Jacobs, bidding for any player. It's almost like when people ask us about trading for an injured player, you just never know what the outcome's going to be there. So it makes it a little bit more difficult. All right. Those were the most chopped players across guillotine leagues for week 11. Again, fantasylife.com. We do have those rankings updated. So make sure you guys go and check that out. It's a really nice tool to have. We've got the cheat sheets. We've got the weekly rankings, the season-long rankings as well. So you can go see how much you should be bidding or who you should be looking at on the waiver wire there for guillotine leagues. We're going to continue on here, Adam, though. I want to go through just a few more weekly worries. Going through, the Chicago Bears, what Caleb Williams is going to look like the rest of the way. We're going to talk about J.J. McCarthy yet again, and then a little bit more on Emeka Egbuka. We're going to do that here coming up next. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to have Xfinity. All the games all in one place. And here's what you get when you watch sports with Xfinity. You get the Sports Zone, every pro football game and over 1,000 college games, highlights and alerts all in one place. You also get the multi-view, so that means you can be in up to 4 stadiums at once. You get the Xfinity Fan View, live scores, odds, and stats all in one place as well, and personalized to you. Enhanced 4K and that voice remote where you can just say football. Imagine all your football all in one place. Easy. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. As always, appreciate everyone hanging out with us here on this Tuesday. Hey, you still have time, Adam. You could fly out here and join me and my friends for the Sabrina Carpenter show on Thursday. No? I know you're jealous.
Do you have a ticket?
FOMO. Well, I have a ticket for myself.
Well, I'm saying for me, you're asking me to fly out there, and you're not even telling me if there's a ticket available.
You could buy a ticket.
How many friends are you going with?
Two.
The most, you already mentioned this earlier, that you're going to be up till 11:30 p.m. Eastern.
I think it's going to be later. I don't even think that show ends till 11:30.
I'm very concerned now for your presence here on Friday. Are you sure you're going to want to lose that huge check?
my $500,000 game check, like Jamar Chase, 450. Here's the thing. My way of thinking of this is that I already went through the 18-inning Dodger game, and I'm thinking to myself, nothing could be quite worse than what I endured during that. I got 2 hours of sleep that night. So like nothing could be, as long as I go to bed before 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning, which is what happened for the Dodgers game, I think I'm in the clear.
Okay. Let's hope that is the case.
I hope so too. Should we just do a full Sabrina Carpenter show on Thursday or Friday?
I'll say no.
Whatever. Adam's jealous. Don't let him tell you otherwise. He's got FOMO,
jealous.
Fear of missing out. It's fine.
Yeah, you'll be at the concert. I'll be watching Texans Bills. Who feels jealous now? Okay.
Honestly, the game could be over by the time the show starts, to be totally clear.
Oh, that's true.
I feel like they don't go on till like way later.
Oh no, there's only 4 NBA games on Thursday too.
See, and you could come.
And they'll be over by the time football ends. So once football ends, I'll have nothing to do.
Wait, Sabrina Carpenter, you can stream the new album. # not mad. just to be clear. All right, weekly worries. I do want to talk through a couple of these players that we did not mention here yesterday. One being just Caleb Williams. I guess maybe the Bears as a whole, but Caleb Williams as well. They pulled out another win. And here's the thing that I'll say, Adam, is that this Bears team, and I know the Bears, Bears fans like one Matt Swing, they're not going to apologize for winning the way that they are, because usually it bounces the other direction and they aren't pulling out these wins. So they're not going to apologize for how they're winning right now. They've won 3 straight games, though, by a single score. And we saw Caleb Williams just not perform very well in this game. And I know that could be because he was going against the Minnesota Vikings, and that defense is a little bit tougher than most. But he had 10.32 fantasy points. Not a great day. I guess you'll take 10 points. It's better than, getting 8, 7, 6, whatever it is. But do you think they can sustain this? Is this something that they can sustain, or is this fluky to you?
It feels fluky to me. And the schedule gets tougher. You give them credit. They're getting the wins. They're definitely improved. Caleb Williams, though, for fantasy, I have him in 2 leagues, and I do not feel comfortable starting him. I just don't have any backup that I can put in over him. But I don't feel good starting him right now. He's got 3 games in the last 5 with no touchdown passes.
Yeah.
He has 1 touchdown or fewer in every game except one since week 3. It has not been good fantasy-wise for Caleb. He does run a little bit. That has helped the floor the last few weeks. He has at least 24 rushing yards in 4 straight games, 1 rushing touchdown in that span. But this has not been great for him, and it's taken away from the receivers, because the only receiver that you really feel comfortable starting right now is Rome Odunze, and we've mentioned the roller coaster with him. DJ Moore's been brutal. He had more drops this past week. Colston Loveland still has Cole Kmet there. So it's really, they are relying on the run with DeAndre Swift getting a big workload. They're working in Kyle Monangai, but you don't feel great about starting him. What's crazy is that I don't know if it's because the year of the quarterback, like Caleb Williams is still like a borderline QB1 in points per game, which is very misleading to me, because we've mentioned that sometimes if you don't roster the player, you don't realize the ups and downs. We alluded to that with Kyler Murray last year. Like Caleb Williams has been boosted by 2 massive fantasy performances this year.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't take them away, but if you do, it has not been good. He had 4 touchdowns against the Cowboys, 3 against the Bengals. That's 7 of his 13 passing touchdowns. More than half have come against 2 of the worst defenses in football. So, yeah, I don't feel good about Caleb Williams. And again, I have to start him. I don't really have, there's no one better out there. And then you get the Steelers this week, who have not been great this year, but they've improved. They've gotten a lot better defensively. And they've allowed 3 passing touchdowns in their last 3 games to Daniel Jones, Justin Herbert, and Joe Flacco, when we all loved him this past week, and he had 199 and a touchdown. So that's a tough matchup that you have ahead. Then he's at Philadelphia. Do you really feel confident starting him there? Then he's at Green Bay, home to Cleveland, home to Green Bay, and at San Francisco. This is a rough stretch for Caleb Williams where you're just not going to feel great about starting him.
No, and he needs to improve the off-target rate entering the week. It was at 20.8%. That was the 3rd worst among qualified quarterbacks. Like, there's a lot of things to clean up. And so I know when we're talking about the Bears, it's a lot different when we're talking about fantasy and just real life NFL, because this team does have a chance to make that playoff push. But at least this matchup, like you said, this weekend is in his favor a little bit, going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have gotten a lot better as the weeks have progressed. And I will say too, like, I'm still hanging on to one Colston Loveland. Like, I think at some point they're going to need him, and they're going to figure out and say, you know what, we just need to go more to Colston Loveland and away from Cole Kmet, because his route participation rates over the last 2 games with Kmet healthy, 56%, 58%. He's got 8.3 points per game in those 2 games. He's still a stash option for me. Same with Luther Burden here, Adam. But if this team really wants to make that playoff push, it feels like they're going to have to rely on guys that they haven't gone to yet this season. And that might be one Colston Loveland, who we have seen before, and one, like I said, Luther Burden, because DJ Moore hasn't done well. Zacchaeus, we haven't really talked about here, but they really need to push to be able to make this playoff run. And so, like you said, the schedule's tough, but I'm still stashing those 2 guys.
I feel better about Burden making an impact with Loveland. You have Kmet there, and that big game came against the Bengals with no Kmet. So, again, he looks good when he gets the football, but 4 targets in each of the last 2 games. So, yeah, he's more of a stash, but I do think Burden can become a factor. That's why I've been patiently waiting and having him on my bench.
We hope that it all works out, because I have also been patient with Luther Burden. And so please, we would love you to be the fantasy playoff hero that we all deserve. That's what we want to look for here. We're going to continue on. I want to still go through more weekly worries here and the final waiver wire names you need to know before putting in those bids coming up next. FantasyLife.com. That's where you can go. Subscribe to that newsletter 100% free and check out all of those articles. My waiver wire article is there, and so is the utilization report and many more great reads that you need to check out. Again, FantasyLife.com to go and do that. Who's your favorite waiver wire pickup? If you can believe that, because I will say mine is probably one of the running backs that we talked about, but probably not available to most. But I will say Emmanuel Wilson is a good pickup. Sean Tucker, if he's out there, Kenneth Gainwell, just in case. And you want to just keep these guys as well. This is why it's so important, Adam. We've talked so much about the handcuff running backs, handcuff your guys. Make sure if you have CMC, you go get, Brian Robinson, go get those guys that just in case we see them go down, you won't have to worry about who to pick up off the waiver wire. It's important.
Yeah, like we've been saying in a lot of our deeper leagues, none of these guys are available. But I think Emmanuel Wilson is definitely a good one, because I see Jacobs missing at least a week, if not longer. Tuten, because again, that split was a lot closer than I thought.
15 to 19.
Well, because remember, Tuten left the game. Like I was watching that game early, and I was like, oh no, I have ETN in a couple leagues, and I was like, I don't like this at all. And Tuten looked good.
Happening.
Chris Rodriguez is interesting too. If he's still out there, it looks like he's the main back there now. You mentioned Bam Knight as well. He could be available. So yeah, there's in the more shallow formats or 12-team leagues with 5 bench spots, there's some running backs that are out there. I do think though in the deeper formats, it's really bad. I went through a couple already, and I'm not even putting in claims this week. There's no one.
Nope.
Even with all these injuries.
Nope, because we can't have nice things, Adam. That's what happens when you create a league that has 20 spots. What are you doing? Come on.
Do you like it though?
Oh yeah, I love it. I think once you do that, there's no like turning back.
Yeah, because like your team is very good in the GST. Like you are live to win it. Even though you're 5-6, your points are up there. And again, another example why you need to have at least one spot reserved for points, because you could have like in my home league, I am tied for first in points. I am 11-11. Wow. So even with double headers, I'm not in the top 6. I do reward the last playoff spot to the most points, so I have a really good shot at getting in, and if I maintain it. But even double headers don't offset the complete luck. So you do need to reward at least one spot. And I know some of these mainstream sites, I don't know if they give you the option. I'm assuming Yahoo and ESPN don't, right? I don't play.
I don't play in anyone where I have been able to play like that.
So that's probably why we haven't seen it mainstream. So many people play on those sites. I think they need to make it more customizable so you can do that. But
and that's a whole off season. Like we'll talk about this in the off season because it's just so fun. You want to keep, I know that, some people just say, oh, well, the league, we just didn't get back together, but it's so fun to be able to change up your leagues, especially in the off season, take it to a vote. You can, if you're the commissioner listening, that you can't just change it on your own, but take it to a vote, because changing it up, having those 20 roster spots, like the drafts are crazy, the waivers are crazy, but it gives you more incentive and everyone more incentive to continue on. I think I was 0-4 to start the season, Adam, in GST. And so it was like, hey, you can make a comeback. That's why we also say don't quit. I like your call out for Chris Rodriguez. He was the lead back in the 3-way committee. It might not be something that you necessarily love, but I think he is a high-end RB4 that maybe the rest of the season could really come on strong. Devin Singletary too, right? You think Devin Singletary out there? I mean, he could be available. I saw he's available in 80% of Yahoo leagues. But, with Cam Scadaboo down, it hasn't necessarily been Tyrone Tracy against the world. Devin Singletary's been in there.
Tracy's been better, but they are giving Singletary some goal line carries. I will say also a tight end in more shallow formats, Jawan Johnson could still be out there coming off a bye. And I think with Shaheed gone and we saw Shough look at him, I think Jawan Johnson is a good option.
I know a lot of people asked about AJ Barner. I know he's probably out there. Just be careful. I know he had a big week. I don't know if we can expect that every single time from the Seattle Seahawks and Sam Darnold and all the other stuff going on over there. But Jawan Johnson's definitely a really good call out. He's available in 54% of leagues right now. So he's definitely a low end tight end one going into the weekend. Make sure you check out my article, fantasylife.com, 100% free. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us here. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Adam and I will be back with you same time here tomorrow. Enjoy your day.